So first of all, good afternoon. I think, as Uttamji mentioned, good morning to all the entrepreneurs here. It's lovely to be in Hyderabad. And I can actually sense the kind of entrepreneurial energy which is there here. So a lot of what I have in the slides are bits and pieces of what you've heard along the way. But of course, I'll also touch through from a technical aspect what it means, what NSE can do for you. First of all, like what Professor told us in the morning, the example of the most resilient or the one who's most adaptable. I could say, Professor, three things. One is that as Indians, we are always resilient. So if you compare across the globe, I think among the success stories of COVID, as a country who's been able to navigate COVID the best, it's been Indians because of our natural tendency to be resilient. Now, within the universe of Indians, if I were to say businessmen, they are by far the most resilient in nature. If you compare with people who are otherwise, professionals or, salaried people, I would count businessmen to be naturally much more resilient. So, Indian businessmen, and among the businessmen, I would say it's the SME guys who are the most resilient. Because when you look at SMEs, it's generally squeezed from both sides, right? You are generally the ones who are supplying to the larger corporations. So in effect, you are essentially having to, so let's take an example of Walmart, which started the whole just-in-time, or even Suzuki, right? The largest of the corporations are essentially, someone who's assembling, right? So you talked about Tanishq, sir. Tanishq is not necessarily manufacturing all the pieces it manufactures. So from hooks of your necklace to the screws of the earrings, right, to designs locally. Tanishq is a national brand. It will vary for Kolkata, it will vary for Punjab, it will vary for Hyderabad, the designs which it makes. And who are supplying to Tanishq? Who are supplying to the Maruti Suzuki? Who are supplying to the Tata Motors? So in effect, SME is there in between. So you're squeezed from your customer end, you're squeezed from your supplier end because your, credit metrics or financials don't stack up. So like you said, sir, when you started, right, the numbers don't look compelling. So obviously getting credit is difficult, right? So within resilience, Indian businessmen and SME Indian businessmen are by far the most resilient of the lot. So, but the perpetual problem stays, which is capital, right? India remains a capital-starved economy. Our attempt here at NSE is to throw light. So I would want all of you to go back with a thought that, okay, this is an alternative. And if I were to pursue that alternative, what is it I need? That's what I want to be leaving you with. To introduce NSE, the typical thought which comes about NSE is that it's for the larger corporates. It's for the Hyundais and the larger companies which list. But I'm very happy that we have two of our listed companies on the main board. Again, from a tech perspective, so we had Zaggle listing in 2023. Somewhere, I think it was pioneering, 2023. Since then, from the tech space, we've seen about, in the last 18 months, 15 odd companies from the tech space to list. So PhysicsWallah, Office, right? FirstCry, Brainbees, all of these are essentially GoDigit. All of these are new age companies. So it's not meant only for the larger conglomerates. It's equally meant for the startups and the new age kind of businesses. Again, the platform which looks after SME is what we call as the NSE Emerge platform. So somewhere since inception, so NSE was formed in 1994. So we are ourselves just a 30-year-old organization. But somewhere the need was felt that it cannot be that a large company and a small company must adhere to the same regulations, right? So 2012 is when we got the approval from SEBI to start a separate segment, which is called as the SME platform or the SME exchange. So works just like the main board. So any script which you were to trade, you will trade through the same way, through your same broker, right? Some of the numbers which I'm really happy to share is since inception, we've got about 700 companies which have listed on NSE. Similar number in BSE, so collectively about 1400 companies today are listed on the SME platform. But again, does no justice to the kind of SME ecosystem which we are living in. Another interesting statistic here is out of these 700 companies, over 150 have gone on to become to the main board, right? So you come on the SME platform, which is little more easy to, comply with and eventually grow and become larger. And along the way, look at the valuation or the market capitalization. So these 700 companies which have raised about 22,000 crores have gone on and created wealth, about 2,20,000 crores of market cap. So along the way, not just create wealth for the investors, but of course for the promoters, because what you're essentially doing is not diluting entirely, you're diluting only 25%, which is what I'll talk later. The platform which started in 2012, the early years, similar to your story. We've gone through nook and corner, from Jammu to Kanyakumari, from Rajkot to Siliguri, right? To just tell people about what SME IPO is. Right? Today, I don't need to start with that. Today, most of you sitting here would know what is an SME IPO, right? What I'm here to talk about is that what it can do for you, what are the trends, right? So, but I don't need to define, like you started, right? I was wondering when you were asking, do you know AU? I thought this is not the time you need to be asking that. I think everyone knows that. So, similarly, I don't think I need to ask you what is an SME IPO, but I would want to see, you look at those three towers at the right? Post-COVID is again where the need for capital has not been so pronounced as much it has been post-COVID. So even this platform has actually taken off post-COVID. So out of the 700 listings, roughly 300 have just come in the last 3 years. And now if I were to wear the regulator's hat, something which grows so fast, so soon, right, is again recipe for disaster from the eyes of the regulator. So there have been some checks and balances which the regulator brought out, and that is basically, what I'll take through, not too much in that. But what I'd want each one of you is to imagine your enterprise's journey and look at this from bottom up. When we start with an idea. Right? And that idea is where you generally first see whether there is an acceptance of my idea in this, world. And that's generally self-funded, maybe through friends and family. When your idea is, okay, this is an idea which can get into a business. Now we are talking of early stage. That's the first time probably you get some seed capital. You would find your early venture or an angel investor. You have a number of seed schemes. You have organizations and institutions like ISB and B schools who will be able to give you the support it requires, like prototyping, sir. Right? So all of these are things where you are talking of the early stage. Now note in both these stages, what you're requiring is what I will call as risk capital, right? Risk capital is because at the earliest stage, whether this business will survive or not is a question mark. And risk capital is different from what is called as growth capital, as the topic today is scale me, right? So now when you go to the growth phase, what you have is a product which has an acceptance. It's a market which you know you want to tap. Right? And what you need is that capital which will help you scale your idea, right? So it is not the question whether my product will find acceptance or not. It is that how soon can I expand my product's reach, right? Whether it is distribution network, whether it is marketing, whether it is increase in production, what you need is money to scale your business. And that is growth capital, which is different from risk capital. And that's where a public market can come in. That's where NSE Emerge can come through what is called as an SME IPO. That this is a stage where, an injection of capital can help you scale your business. What path would have taken probably 7 or 8 years can be achieved in 3 or 4 years through this capital. So there are certain prerequisites. The public markets are very, very different from the private markets. So what works for a PE VC wouldn't work here, right? At the end, of course, everyone is looking at profitability, but because we are talking of public markets, in a way, like you said, you're taking deposits from people. So there is, in the financial space, whether it's banking, whether it's capital markets, we are essentially protectors not of public money, but of public trust. Unless you show that you are keeping that trust intact, it's going to be difficult for you to traverse this journey, right? So an example which I often give is, generally when businesses start, they start as proprietary concerns, they start at partnership concerns, right? Traditional mindset tells as many relatives as you have, open that many partnership firms, right? The first step towards being in the public markets is to start by making it a public limited company. Public market means the public should be able to freely trade in the shares, right? So first step is it should become a limited company, right? So when you become from a partnership firm or a proprietorship firm, you become a limited company. What is happening? Of course, paperwork aside, what is happening from a mindset perspective is that you imagine you're working or you're living in a glass house, right? That with the company becoming formed, your financials, your basic details are available with the ROC and anyone can see that. So you are basically running your business in a glass house. What happens when you convert from a private limited company to a public limited company once you list is that you are working in that glass house with the curtains drawn. So you are still on your shop floor, you are doing your business, no one's going to come and tell you, I am going to teach you how to run your business. You're going to do your business, but the only thing is that everyone can see how you're running the business. And that's basically disclosures, that you need to keep these people who have invested in your business updated about how you're running your business. What are the risks in that business? So that's the mindset change which you need to have, that shed that idea that I am the promoter and I alone can run the business, right? Earlier, sir mentioned about how important it is to keep professionals in your business and not just the relatives whom you surround yourself with. And for you to succeed as a public enterprise, you need the right kind of professionals, because what is happening in that glass house is visible to everybody through the listings, through the disclosures which you do in the stock exchange. So the first thing is a public limited company. Few other criteria, I'll not go too much into the technicalities of it. A minimum dilution of 25%. Again, here is where we generally encounter the most resistance, right? Why should I dilute? I am the 100% owner of my business, right? So I'll just jump a few slides and first give you some food for thought. And I'll draw it to what you said, sir, that market cap of AU, 75,000 crores, PAT of AU, 2,300 crores, right? Where is the wealth coming from? The wealth is not from the 2,300. The wealth is coming from the 75,000 crores of market cap. The wealth is built not by owning a small orange, 100%. The wealth is built by owning 75% at least of a large watermelon, right? So think in that way, that if you show the right profit and you show the right business and consistency in your profit, the market is going to reward you because it's going to value your company at a multiple which is much higher, and eventually it's not money made only for the investors. You're making money for yourself too, right? So coming back to the technical aspects, I'm not going too much into the detail. Three broad criteria I can ask here with a show of hands. How many of the business entrepreneurs here have run their business at least for 3 years? Business in operations for at least 3 years, right? How many making some profit, operating profit, and a positive net worth? That means that the losses have been taken care of, right? So the show of hands, broadly, all of you are eligible to list on the NSE Emerge platform and begin your journey as a public enterprise. So very broad numbers. So what I want you to do is just think that this is something which I can do. Then is where you will begin how you can get about doing it, right? So very broadly, minimum operating profit of 1 crore in last 2 out of 3 years are the requirements. Off of a sale, or what we call as existing shareholders exiting and giving new shareholders. Unlike in the main board, where generally we see the PE, VC funded, or Hyundai, for example, in case of SME companies, this is at 20%. That is that existing shareholders cannot sell more than 20%. The capital has to come into the company, right? Let's now talk more on what trends we are witnessing. Rather than that, all of these, what I have mentioned, is available on our website, so you can anytime link it. One very clear trend, as you said, is still the dearth of capital, right? So capital A, traditional banks used to provide that, right? There was a shortfall is where the NBFCs came in, tried to meet that gap. So you had the early NBFCs, the Tatas, Aditya Birla, L&T, right? You have the new age NBFCs who have tried to fill in that gap. You have the fintechs who have tried to fill in that gap. You have PEVC who've tried to fill in that gap. Although PEVC works on a certain niche segment, it's a newer entrant into this. The gap still remains. Right, so this is one of the ways in which you can contribute to remove that. So the trends is very clear that as we stand today, capital is required. So this is going to be something, again, a structural story, right? Borrowing, since we are in a B school, by far the best B school in the country, I would use a management consultant terminology that we are increasingly in a VUCA Bani world. It's volatile, it's uncertain, right? It's binary. One politician in US can decide what happens to your export-oriented shrimp unit, right? So that's the world which we are living in. And it's the most difficult for SMEs because I would say, like you say, gave the examples here of evolution and Charles Darwin, right? It's only the one who can adapt, who can survive. So unfortunately, the smallest are the ones, the small fish are always eaten by the big fish, right? So for you to scale, you need to absorb that this is how it will be, right? So if we have to look at it, I'm very happy to share a statistic in terms of the growth which we are seeing in NSE itself. 10 years ago, we were just having 1 crore registered investor. Today, we are in upwards of 12 crores, right? And for an SME company, you need only 250 of these 12 crore shareholders to subscribe to your IPO, right? So if we are seeing this change, that there is increasing financialization of savings, many people earlier, if we rewind maybe about 10 or 15 years ago, no one would know what's an SIP. Right? Somebody in Assam, like you said, Jaipur, right? People wouldn't know that stock markets can be for us, right? That's changed a lot. And it's only a matter of time that it is also going to change for the companies who are issuing, right? Let's take a look at what kind of companies we are seeing come. Although till now out of 700, it's Mumbai, Delhi, Ahmedabad, which is about 60% of it. But if I look at it from a delta, if I look at it from what's happening in the last 2-3 years, it's clearly the tier 2, tier 3 cities which are leading and South India which is leading, right? Because clean promoters, strong balance sheets, good business model, a good distribution channel, a good supplier network, all of it is there here. So what is needed is just the conviction that yes, capital markets is for me, I want to traverse this path, right? So definitely we are seeing number of listings increase from across India, but specifically from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And another change which we are seeing, it's the second and third generation who are mostly these are, kids who've studied overseas and come back. Like you said, India is the place to be. So these are people who don't want to run the business in the typical, I could say, Lala way in which it has been run by their grandfathers, it's been run by their fathers. They want to see professionals run the show. They want to show the right kind of profit, have the proper people, processes in place, because unless you have your people and processes in place, you're not going to be able to scale up. If you're going to still run your business as that one-man show who is also the head of HR, marketing, supply chain, and finance, you're not going to be able to make your business go from your small town to pan-India. You need to have people in place. And so it's the second and third generation entrepreneurs who are driving this shift to accept, transparency, to accept corporate governance, to accept public markets as a way to go. And it's not just about your choice, right? Somewhere or the other, it is going to be forced to you. Because if you're not scaling up, the kind of competition which we are going to be living in with 140 crore of us, right? Competition will force you to scale up. Because if you're not going to be scaling up, if you're, not going to be scaling up, you're going to be finding it difficult to survive that competition. I mentioned about new age businesses. I'll talk about a few case studies as well. So these examples which I gave you, these new age run businesses are not just listing on the main board. Just 2 days before, Marushika Technology, that's a new age tech company, got listed on the NSE Emerge platform, right? In May 25, we had Virtual Galaxy, which is again a tech platform based company, list on the NSE Emerge platform. We have TechD, it's a cyber security firm. Again, 30-year-old entrepreneur from Ahmedabad who's setting up a new business, listed on NSE Emerge platform. We have a company called Exato AI, which got listed on the BSE platform. So it's not that the SME platform is meant only for hardcore manufacturing traditional SMEs. We have new age technology companies, AI-based companies. We have services companies. All of these also using the SME platform. So new age businesses. Again, I'll talk about an example in the case study, right? Sustainability is again one of the main drivers for companies to list. An example I can give you is a company based out of Kolhapur, right? Small town in Maharashtra, of course a sugar and textile hub. Its business, it supplies grey fabric, and its fabric is used for bags by Zara. Right? Now, European companies require that their entire supply chain adheres to sustainability norms so that they can certify that they have achieved whatever is their sustainability goal. And so, if you want that entire supply chain to be there in terms of certification, you've got to follow those business practices. You've got to procure that material. And so, that again becomes sustainability becomes one of the reasons why you have to raise capital. Right? Somewhere in the journey of an SME company, you reach a stage where I am not able to put in more money as a promoter. Banks will ask me for collateral, right? Where am I going to get the capital from? This could be a stage where you can examine capital markets or SME IPO. We saw so many examples where Professor told about the larger corporation. In a way, these large corporations operate as OEMs, right? Simple, I can give you an example of Balaji Wafers, right? Balaji Wafers is not frying those chips across all, it is these smaller companies which are supplying the ready to fry, base, the condiments, the packaging, the supply chain. So every OEM which is growing is bringing with itself an entire ecosystem of SME companies, whether it is in services or products, packaging, supply chain, logistics. Each of these are growing in turn along with the OEM, right? So somewhere we are seeing a OEMization of all types of business, right? And as each one of the speakers told before, our strength is our 140 crore people. So companies which operate in logistics, companies which operate in food delivery, all of these are playing to the India consumption story. Until 2024, the markets were such that it didn't matter what business you had. Even if you were having, unfortunately, a Yamaha dealership, the investor would be able to give you at least 1,000 times subscription. That day is gone. 2025 is late 2025, early 2026, I would say discretion is the word, right? So we've had instances where SME IPOs have gone unsubscribed. We've had instances where IPOs have been withdrawn because investor doesn't buy the story. You cannot be just the run-of-the-mill company expecting to take a bet on the momentum which markets are doing. You need to have at least 3 things in place. One is a niche business, right? It has to be a niche business, otherwise competition is going to kill you, right? It needs to be fundamentally sound. A non-negotiable is the corporate governance framework. We are talking of public markets, so you need to be ready as though SEBI is coming to your house tomorrow, right? So corporate governance is not something which you choose to do because you list. It is something which you imbibe, and listing is only going to showcase that better to the world, right? And a consistent financial performance. Ask any investor whether you want just 1 quarter of super profit or you want consistency. 99 out of 100, or I'd say 100 on 100 investors are going to bet for a consistent financial performance. So like you said earlier, number of youthful people having a great idea, not working once, let's wind this down, go to the next one. It's not going to help you. You've got to show consistently that your skin is in the game. You're there, like you said, batting like Rahul Dravid on day 1 of an India-Australia test, right? Some like I said, market, so if you see how the market was, 2023, 2024, any kind of IPO you bring, 100 times oversubscription was the norm. That's sobering. 2026 has seen a number of IPOs even getting withdrawn. To the ones who are here as investors, what I would like to say is that the listing pop, which Dr. Ram mentioned, right? That's just a discount which you offer. It's like, you know, you get your customer to your shop by offering a discount. But your customer becomes your lifelong customer when he sees value in your product. It is similar what an investor does. What you leave as listing gains on the table is what you get your investor to hook onto you. But the wealth is made, look beyond just the listing day. The wealth is made, so today, this is the stock price as on today and the market cap of the company as on today vis-a-vis its listing day. 2026, the companies which listed in 2020, right, 3 to 5 year horizon for you to actually make 5 times of what you've invested. So it takes time. Think of it. For the companies which listed, sir, between the day you listed and the next day, what changed to the company? Right? Nothing changed on ground. The money has to come. You have to deploy the money. You have to do the capex. You have to buy the machines. You have to run those machines, do the production, sell it, make profit, and then it goes to your EPS. Right? So, listing day is not going to directly contribute to market cap multiplying. It takes 3 to 5 years. So, as an investor also, you need to understand, and that's where consistency matters, that for your investor to compound, you need to show consistent delivery of profits. The SME platform is kind of maturing. So, what I've compared here is the smallest main board IPO to the largest SME IPO. So, the smallest main board IPO last year was about 116 crores. The highest SME IPO was about 167 crores, right? Same way the year prior to that. So, about 200 crores, highest SME IPO, about 72 crores, the smallest main board IPO. So, whether the choice of main board or SME is something which you can leave to your financial advisors to decide, but if you have an idea and you need a scalable capital to scale your business, definitely SME IPO is a much more mature market now than it was when it started, right? Few things why you should, beyond of course the financials, is the visibility which it will give you. Simple things like retaining talent. Especially for SMEs in smaller towns, retaining talent is not very easy. Once you're a listed company, you know, all the promoters to whom we've spoken, who've listed, say that the perception in the minds of my existing staff members, my potential staff members, my vendors, my customers, all my channel partners who are associating with me, my perception is changed. Everyone says, "Arey, ye listed hai." Hai na? So there is some kind of a visibility, perception change which happens. You're able to retain talent better. You're going to be able to get better opportunities. A lot of companies have in turn managed to get better export orders simply because your export company, the customer, is able to know much more about you because your details are available in the public domain, right? So quickly spending 2 minutes on 2 success stories. First, let's start from a city, from a company based here very much. Shrivari Spices, with a small issue size of 9 crores, listed in 2023. At the time of listing, the company's market capitalization was just 30 crores. Today, it's about 115 crores, right? See what happens to the turnover. In 23, it had a 30 crore turnover. With the capital, it reached about 80 crores, and today it's in excess of 112 crores. Soon to be about 200 crores. So that's what can do to you an injection of capital, the revenue and the profitability. When I mentioned about niche business model, another example which I'd like to share is of Fly SBS Aviation, company based out of Chennai. First time promoters, professional captains. This is into the space of private charting. So private jets, right? So again, not somebody who's from a business family, somebody who started the first time. This was among the most subscribed IPOs. So a 100 crore issue, niche business model, good corporate governance, strong management quality, listed with a market cap of about 400 crores, and currently it's hardly been about 8 odd months since it listed, right? 900 crores of market cap, and definitely slated to do well. So these are some of the success stories which we've seen. At NSE, I'm here specifically to dispel the myth that exchange is not approachable. I am leaving you with my contact details as well as my colleague who's present here, Senthil ji. Please reach us in case you have any questions in your mind about how to go about the process of listing. We are here to handhold you, and we are here to see very soon, hopefully, that we'll come and ring the bell together with you in this lovely city of Hyderabad. Right? So, signing off.